Okay, so today your warm-up is to find the value of x in A2 and the value of x in B2. So we'll do the same thing just to review. I know it's been a long break. 4 going to 5, 4 going to 10, we're going to need a scale factor, and we're going to need a scale factor of the same value of 5 going to x. So 4 times some number is going to equal 10. Now this number is 10 over 4. So 10 over 4 is what I'm looking for. I'm going to use that same value of getting 5 multiplied by that same something, and I'll get my x value here. So 5 times 10 over 4 is equal to 50 over 4. And 50 divided by 4, well, it goes in there 10, 12, 12 and a half. So 12.5. So x value here should be more than that 10, just like 5 is more than 4. And this should be 12.5. All right. So my scale factor, 10 over 4, that is my scale factor. I can just reduce it and figure out what that is, or I can multiply by 25. So if I have 10 over 4 times 25 over 25, the nice thing about that is I now have something over 100. So 25, that's 250. So believe it or not, that is a percentage. That is the percentage we're looking for. That's 250%. Okay, because it's out of 100. Okay, it's out of 100 per 250%. All right, perimeter, we're going to scratch that because I don't have the other information, so we can skip that. All right, so let's get some of this out of the way. Get this out of the way. Get this out of the way. All right, we're going to repeat the process over here. I need to know from 4 to 3.2, that one's getting smaller, and 7.5 to x. So 4 times some number is going to be equal to 3.2, and again 3.2 on top, 4 on the bottom. So 3.2 over 4. So I'm going to do that same process with 7.5. So 7.5 times 3.2 over 4. So this is times. So I'll multiply that out. 7.5 times 3.2, 7.5 times. That's 24. 24 over 4, and we get 6. Our x value here is 6. 32 over 4, again, that is our scale factor. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. 3.2 over 4. I'm going to multiply by 25. Okay, the reason why I want to 25, multiplying by 25, is my total is going to be out of 100, and that's a percentage. So 3.2 times 25 is 80%. Okay, that is 80%. All right, perimeter. 7.5, 7.5, that's 15 plus 8. 15 plus 8 is 23. So that's 23 here. And here, it looks like it's smaller, 3.2 and 3.2, that's 6.4. This x value is 6, so we have 12 plus 6.4 is going to be 18.4. Now, the relationship here is also 80%. That's our goal, okay? Area, not quite the same. 7.5 times 4 is equal to 30 for the big one. 30 units, whatever, 30 inches squared. And 3.2 times 6 is going to be 19.2. 19.2. The distance between these two is a lot bigger. There's a lot more change than 80% here. It might not be quite as obvious, but what you notice is that these two are really close. These two are not very close. So there's a big difference here. And because of that, we know that area does not follow the same rule as scale factor. All right, so table of contents, finding lengths with similar triangles. You can go ahead and pause the video here so that way the kids can catch up and write down. All right, we're back. So again, today's November 30th, 3.4, finding side lengths with similar triangles, page 27. How can you use similarity of triangles to find distances that is difficult to measure directly? We're actually going to do this next class as well. We're going to spend more than one day on this. It's important. Identify two similar triangles is the first thing you're going to do. You're going to make a ratio or scale factor where from is your denominator and where 2 is your numerator. And you're going to use the scale factor to find missing sides. So what we got so far is there's actually two triangles here. It's not too difficult to identify. Your first triangle is from here to here. Okay. Your second triangle is what they call nested. It's right inside of the other triangle. Okay, so these two are similar triangles. Okay, they're within each other, and we are increasing in one direction. Okay, we're extending from a focus point. Okay, so we're going to identify two similar triangles. We're going to make a ratio, and then we're going to use that ratio, that scale factor, to find our missing side lengths. Okay, so this, I believe, is on page 58. So if you want to take a look at the pictures on page 58, if not, it's going to be up here on the screen. We're going to answer question A and question B. Now it says the triangles in the diagram on the previous page are similar. That's this page. What is the distance across the river from stake 1 to tree 1? So this is our unknown. So we are trying to figure out how wide this river is right here. So stake 1 to tree 1. That is what we're looking for. Now I have 120 feet so far. So all I need to know is the rest of this distance, or maybe even the total distance. And I could take away 120. If I knew how far tree 1 was all the way to stake 3, I could just subtract stake 1 to stake 3. I could just take that away and I'd be left with what I'm looking for. Okay. So again, we identified our two triangles. Let's make a ratio. And I'm going to use the small triangles where I'm coming from. So here's my from. It's my small triangle. Okay. I'm going to make a ratio of 80 to 140. So 80 feet times something will equal 140 feet. So I started from 80 feet here. I'm going to 140 feet here. Here's my ratio. Okay. Now, again, the things we're going to multiply by is this is my goal. It goes on top. 140. This is my ratio. And where I'm coming from is on the bottom. Okay. This is my 80. This is what's going away. So when I multiply these out, my 80s cross out and I'm left with just 140. So if this is my ratio, this is what I'm looking for. Okay. I'm going to use the same thing for this 120. So I'm coming from 120 from the small triangle times, and again, here's our ratio, 140 over 80, and I want to figure out what I end up with. Okay, this is my stake. This is my total distance. Oops. This is my total distance from stake 1 to stake 3 to tree 1. So I'm not going to multiply it just like this is too much. I'm going to reduce. So I'm going to make the smaller 14 over 8 and divide both of those by 2. So 14 divided by 2, 14 divided by 2 is 7. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to just make it 7 over 4. 7 over 4. And then I'll multiply straight across. And I'll get, well, you know what? Let's reduce a little bit more. 4 and 120 can reduce because that's 120 over 1. This will be 4 times 30, and these will go away. And I have 30 times 7, which is 210 feet. Okay. Now I just found this distance here. This is 210 feet from here to here. Now is that my distance for my stake 1 to tree 1? No, I have to subtract this 120. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 120 from there, and I should have my remaining distance. So 210 feet minus 120 feet equals 0. Make borrow and make that a 1. 80 feet. So 80 feet across. This is 80 feet, not 8 feet, 80 feet. 80 feet across. Okay, and our reasoning was that we found similar triangles from small to big, found the total distance, and subtracted the known distance. Okay, so we figured out how to find these distances from stake 1 to stake 2, which was pretty easy, not too bad. You found just similar triangles. Your homework for tonight is going to be page 68, 25 through 28. So same idea as the triangles are within the larger triangles. You're just going to find ratios between them. Here's 25, 26, 27, 28. It is on page 68. Okay. Don't forget to copy down your notes. This will be checked next class. Okay, so here's the first question that I thought I'd work on with you. So there are two triangles here, and we need to figure out how tall the cliff is. So Judy's laying down, she can see the top of her tent, she can see the top of the cliff. So I have the small triangle and I have the big triangle. Okay, so the trickiest part is making sure that when you see the big triangle, you have 445. So let's compare the small triangle, 45 section, this 45, and we need to multiply by something, the small triangle, to get to the big triangle, which is 400 and the 45 feet. 445. I need to multiply by something to get to 445. Now that something is 445 over 45. So not as tricky as it looks, because the numbers that you're looking for are already given to you. I'm going to divide both numbers, since they both end with 5, I'm going to divide both of them by 5. So 445 divided by 5 is equal to 89, and that's over 9. 45 divided by 5 is 9. So this is my scale factor. Okay. Now I can repeat that process and get my heights, my tent, which is 10 feet tall, times our scale factor, which is 89 over 9, and we should get our height of the cliff. Here's our cliff, however tall that is. Well, this was easy to multiply. 890 divided by 9. So 890 divided by 9 is equal to, well, let's scoot all this over. Let's scoot this whole thing over. 890 divided by 9, type that into the calculator, and we end up with 98.8 repeating feet. Okay, so this cliff is 98.8 feet tall. Okay, so that's how tall our cliff is. So we're going to be doing the same thing, but with shadows in a few days. Okay, you can finish the rest. Very, very similar to this one for your homework, 26, 27, 28.